Hey, what's going on, boys and girls and everything in between? We're for those with good taste. I'm Matt. He's Lenny.
You can do it. You can do it all night.
All right, let's say enough of that. Today we're going to jump into how Matt barely made it through fantasy football this weekend.
And I wiped my own ass.
And then we'll maybe jump into how I think, and Lenny might agree with me, that South Park, greatest show of all time.
You might be right, Matt. Next up, we'll be spilling the beans on all the latest rumors in the world of No Way Home.
Ooh, and then Lenny wants to get spooky talking about the new Halloween trailer.
Then finally, we're going to wrap things up with the return of the GOAT. 5 years in the making, the return of Nick Diaz at UFC 266. We give you all the hot storylines going into that, and we even give you some predictions before we get out of here.
You're saying we're doing all that today?
Yeah, it's a jam-packed episode.
Oh, dude, we've got it all, and you guys need to strap in, strap up, and tune in right now.
We'll see you on the other side.
We're getting started.
We're out. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that was a quick countdown.
For those with good taste.
Lenny, I'll tell you what, it feels good to be back in the studio because after this weekend of fantasy football, I didn't think I'd make it in here.
It was up there with one of the most stressful weekends I've had in quite some time.
I can't imagine having to deal with 4 leagues because just being in 2 and having to go right down to the wire on Monday Night Football, it's probably enough to give me an aneurysm.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, one of them, as I've said, and don't say this to anybody else, I'm actively tanking in. But yeah, the other 2 that I'm taking seriously, and then there's one other one that's just kind of, there. But the 2 that I'm really, really taking seriously, it was a stressful weekend. Yeah, man. But this is the time of the year you live for, man. There's nothing better than fantasy football.
No, yeah, we kind of relish the opportunity to just go through some of this stress. I think the early weeks is where you get to make some of those pivotal moves and can kind of shape whether or not you're going to have a good season.
Well, you're kind of waiting and watching some things shake out,
I like when you say shake out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes me feel like we're shaking our dicks out here.
Fortunately, and knock on this particle board here, there's I haven't had any major injuries or big issues with my team just yet. I'm getting excited though because I'm getting into the time of the year now where I can start making some trades.
Yeah.
You've seen what works, what doesn't work for a couple weeks now. You know what teams need some help somewhere, and maybe you can take advantage of it. So I'm gonna start making some moves. It's gonna get exciting.
Yeah, I'm not so lucky. I'm already dealing with a little bit of an injury crisis.
Yeah, you got the injury bug.
Having to make moves a lot quicker than I'd like to, but like you said, it's the time to do it. And, now that we're not dealing with football, at least for the next couple days, I have some time to wrap up a couple of shows I've been watching. But what have you been getting into, Len?
Nothing too crazy for me. I mean, as at the end of last week's episode, I had expressed the excitement I had for the TV show Sex Ed.
It got a little weird in here, to say the least.
Sure thing. Got a little steamy. The air was a little tense. You could cut through it with a knife.
Sweaty palms.
Mm-hmm.
Stat guy over there had his eyes crossed.
Yeah. Well, that was at the hot dogs he'd been scarfing down all episode. So since that week, I have finished up the 3rd season.
Oh, wow.
I even caught up, like I had said. I finished all 3 seasons last week.
Did you knock it all out in one night, or did you actually get some sleep?
I fucked my shit up so bad this weekend because I watched a decent amount Friday night. So I didn't start watching the end of season 2 until about midnight on Friday. The new episode posted on Friday at 3:00 in the morning on Friday. So I caught a few episodes when it came out, and then by the end of that night I was up till Saturday morning at about 3. Had to be up at 6:30. Kind of sucked.
Oh God.
Watching the 3rd season, and
then
I finished it. Yeah.
Having to wake up early and then go through an entire day and still not get any sleep.
It was a long fucking day too, dude, because I had a full work day, but then I went to a concert that night, so I was literally going from 6:00 in the morning till 1 the next morning.
That is the definition of running on fumes.
Yeah, on 3 hours sleep. I just recently, we've talked about this off pod, I've recently gotten into coffee.
Yeah.
So I lived on.
I will not shut up about it.
Yeah, it's all now. I guess I have to start drinking good coffee. I think's the issue here.
Yeah, because I think the the brand that you're drinking right now is just like the tip of the iceberg. Once you start getting into like those organic
It's the gateway
coffees,
drug.
Exactly.
It's the gateway drug.
Yeah,
It's weed, dude.
I'm gonna have to get you checked into rehab before we know it.
The problem, like, maybe this is like everybody. Like, I feel like I definitely have a addictive personality in a way.
I could agree with that.
I can let go of things like easily too, but like once I get into something, it's like every day habitually I have to do it. So once I started drinking coffee, it's like every single day, even if I don't need that pick me up, I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna get it anyways.
No, I knew we were having an issue when I ran into you at one point, and you were like, I was like, hey, you drinking coffee? And you were like, I got 2. And I was like, oh no.
That wasn't intentional.
I know
so
it wasn't
much.
your fault, but I already knew what type of road you're going down.
Well,
Man.
'cause
Honestly, it's gonna be sad for you.
And normally if I'm gonna get it for myself, I just get a medium, but I had somebody else grab me a coffee before the concert I went to, and they got me a large, and I was like, ugh.
See, that's a professional coffee drinker. Like
Yeah.
they were like, oh, if he wants coffee, he doesn't want to sleep at all tonight. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna get him the big jug.
And to be fair, like there was no letdown of energy on my part here, so it does the trick. I think that's where I'm sold on it. Is like I definitely feel more engaged, a little bit more focused. You know,
You want to channel your inner Conor McGregor
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
without having
Sure.
to go full blown. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I mean?
want to beat up old people.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a good place to start, but if you are going to start, I guess coffee.
Hypothetically, Matt, if you walked into a nursing home and you had to like fight your way out to the other side, how many old people do you think you can beat up?
At least 19.
That's all?
Well, I'm saying at least 19.
I've been to a few nursing homes in my day, and if I had to run through like I would tell you, and I don't discriminate. We know this, not a racist. I will fuck up literally everybody in that place, dude. Not a soul's making it out. If I have to, I'm breaking hips.
You
dude.
say this until you've come against like the big boss, who's like the farmer who's retired. And
Well,
he's been
yeah,
retired
okay.
for like
No, but
60
that guy's
years.
not in the nursing home.
Oh, dude, he's in the nursing home because his family put him there because they don't want to deal with his shit anymore. And he's been waiting for somebody to show up, and you just show up, and he fucks you up with his walker that's there for
It's
show.
like, make my day.
Dude, he's like, I've had this hip replaced 20 times. I'm all steel now, boy.
He ripped his sleeves off.
Oh, that's sick. Dude, he ripped the gown off and he's just naked from the waist down, bro.
No,
That'd be
sick,
insane,
dude. Thor's
dude.
hammer.
Oh, man.
Dude, and I'd like to point out I'm not including families. I can't like really make a guesstimate as to what the family situation will be like. I don't want to all of a sudden have some like boxer, some dude who's been going to like Taibo or some shit for the past 20 years who just whoops my ass.
See?
I'm talking about strictly the people who are 80 and up that are in that home. I'm buzzing through all of them.
So what you're saying is if you're picking a nursing home, it's exactly like real estate where it's location.
Yeah, I'm vetting the situation.
I need to
first.
make sure that I've done a little bit of recon to make sure that I'm not coming against an ex-Golden Gloves Vietnam veteran. But what's your number? You think you're taking them all out?
Oh, I think I'm taking them all.
What's a nursing home at capacity? Like 50?
No, Matt.
How big's the
That's
nursing
low.
home?
Like, well, so, you know, I have a relative in one, and it's like 3 stories. It's like 3 floors of old people. And there's a whole other wing that doesn't have I was going to say it doesn't have a roof. It has a roof. We put them in a place with a roof. It has floors above it.
Oh, man, you have just opened up Pandora's box because now I want to know what the people think. How many old people are you beating up before you think you meet your match? Or do you get gassed at the end? Like, do you just have so many, what would it be? Not dog tags. Like, are you collecting?
Oh, I'm not beating up military men, man. Jesus Christ, dude.
Are you collecting
I'm not-
inhalers on the
Dude,
way
you want me
up?
to go to the VA? I'm not going to the VA.
I want them to
That's
have-
where I run into that fucking guy who's just
Yeah.
been waiting for somebody. Like, I go to the VA and try to fight people. I'm definitely running into that guy who's like, I've been waiting for this shit since
Oh
Nam.
my god, it's so funny that you're talking about this because all right, this is a good transition. You were talking about how you blew through sex ed, right? Me and
I
the
didn't
wife,
learn anything.
No, I know. Nothing to build that
Nothing
confidence
stuck,
up.
you know?
Me and the wife are watching Money Heist, right? So I talked about part 5 coming out. And this season is all about those cops or those retired military people who have been out of the game for a little while and they're just waiting or itching at the chance to just get their shit off. This is all this show's about. It's like 3, maybe 4 different psychos that come in and are just like, oh, you want us to save the hostages? No, we're killing everybody. I would imagine that's exactly what it's like at the VA.
Question, is Money Heist a different set of characters every season?
No, it's the same characters.
Oh, so these guys
El
have always been
Profesor,
crazy.
dude. Oh, yeah, everybody in the show's nuts.
Is it in Spanish?
Yeah, it's in Spanish with, you can do English subtitles, or you can change it to English.
I didn't know
if
it was
you
in
wanted to.
Spanish. Huh.
Yeah, it's in Spanish.
Awesome.
It was originally...
You feel out of place.
No, see, I love me some subtitles, dude, so... And
You often tell me you can understand, you just can't
I
speak.
understand way more than I speak, so I can stick in it, but it's even funnier because people who speak Spanish in Spain, they're very delicate with their eth. So it just sounds like they're lisping the entire time. Hilarious. For anybody who's watched the show, you got to back me up on that. It's absolutely funny.
So they're the people that I don't want to go and try and fight.
No, I get that, man. You've really like wound me up here because now I feel like I shot way too low. Because I was thinking like a small nursing home.
Yeah, I mean, hey, stats.
Stat guy.
Stats.
What's the average occupancy of your average nursing home?
Well, it's not, and I just want to know hypothetically, how many old people could you beat up?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fucking up at least 75 to 80.
Yeah. Okay.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Can
If you
I
give me
eat
any
a-
type of a weapon, like a stapler or ruler, maybe, like
No.
I'm gonna kill a ton of them.
Oh, what's your weapon of choice?
Okay, but it can only be a weapon I'd find in a nursing home.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, obvious choice is to go to the cafeteria, right?
A cane. I beat you.
Yeah. Okay.
Immediately, dude.
All right.
You give me like a hard aluminum cane.
Aluminum.
I'm going
No,
off
you know
on
what? You know those
people,
old
dude.
people who walk around with like a staff.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Find the old guy who's got the staff with the knife at the top of it.
You got a staff for us?
For the record, Massachusetts has 36,675 people in nursing facilities.
Oh, so you want to go on a tour?
Oh, so you? Oh, he wants to drive down the block knocking over mailboxes. Is what he wants to do. It's insane.
You want to go town to town?
Oh, stat guy is crazy, dude.
Oh, 36,000. Like we got that.
He said,
we divide that amongst
what-
the three of
What
us.
did I say? 90 to 80.
Yeah.
What I meant was 90 to 80,000 each. Son, we'll be done by the fall. Man, stat guy's insane right now, bro. I love that though. That's great. We're gonna have to revisit this, man. I want to put a poll out there and I want to find out.
It did. Well, one other thing that this popped into my head was like, I was like, all right, if I could beat up like 100 old people in a nursing home, could I beat up Chuck Liddell?
Oh,
Like now?
so
Like current day?
the mark right now is Evander Holyfield based on what we've seen. You know what I'm saying? Like senior citizen with a little bit of skill. I think I kick his ass 9 times out of 10.
Like I wonder, and maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is what we're missing as far as the next trend in terms of combat sports. Is maybe it's like fight clubs inside of nursing
No,
homes.
it's already been discussed. We're missing out on tag team boxing.
Do you ever see? Do you ever see the shit where like I saw this recently where somebody. This is probably pre-lockdown shit. That like a daycare was having the little kids, like the toddlers, fight each other.
Child Fight Club.
Yeah.
Oh, I better
Like the
get,
kids
I better
are
get
getting
Sophie
dropped
ready,
off.
dude, just in case.
Yeah, the kids were getting dropped off at home with like bruises and like black eyes and shit because they were just making the toddlers fight.
Imagine you're just on YouTube and you just see kid
That's like
fights.
a Twitch channel.
Like imagine your emotions and the roller coaster that you go through. You're like, oh, they got kids fighting in the street. Wait a minute, Dylan? You're like, what the f? Why's Connor fighting at 2 years old, dude? This is crazy,
Dude, but you know how proud you are if you're like the dad and you're like your 2 or 3 year olds
Yeah,
just sleeping kids.
So everybody presses charges on you.
He's just knocking kids out left and right, throwing
Yeah.
blocks at them, like doesn't give a
I always
fuck.
know he'd be ready for this moment.
Yeah. I started training him young. I had him hitting pads at about 18 months or so.
Yeah, and if he loses a fight, I hit him twice just so he knows that he's never a winner when he loses.
And I know if I hit him hard enough on the chin that he'll be able to take any of those little bitches.
Well, that's the only way I can get him to take a nap nowadays. Jesus Christ, dude. His whole concept is insane. But no, man, it doesn't get any worse than South Park's Crack Baby
Oh, shit, yeah, I forgot about
Basketball
that.
Association.
Yep.
Like, anytime you're getting kids involved, you're immediately going to get red
Is
flag
that the
for this
episode
stuff.
where they get the knee transplants?
No, it's not. No,
Which basketball episode is that
You're
one?
thinking of when Kyle wanted to get a Negroplasty. And it did not go well for him. Let's just say that. His dad also got a dolphin-plasty. I thought it was possible.
I just remember
at the
him
time.
going for. He just goes to shoot like a 3 from the corner, and he comes down. And
No,
his
he
legs,
dunks it.
Oh,
he dunks
his
it.
legs
He
just
has a
split.
Michael Jordan moment where his tongue is out and he's like, ah, dunks, comes down, knees explode because they're made out of testicles. It's insane, bro. Bro, South Park is good TV. I don't know how to promote South Park any more than I have on this show.
Oh man, it's so funny.
But it's good
So
TV
funny.
and it never misses.
Did we ever actually get on here and talk about?
No,
all
we didn't. The
contract?
pandemic special and all that
Well,
stuff?
not even I'm talking about the contract that they got, the Paramount Plus
Oh.
contract. Did we ever actually really talk
No,
about
so we
that?
didn't jump into it.
I feel like
where
I was like going away when that kind of happened.
Was it 10 seasons, 8 movies?
I think
Some
it's
shit like
8
that?
stats.
Stat guy.
South Park
So this is what I'm
contract.
talking
I think
about.
it's
He needs
16.
to know what we're going to talk about and then look it up as we're talking.
Wasn't it like 8 seasons and like 16 movies?
But That'd be incredible. Like, imagine signing a deal where you're good for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, they already were. If they really want to keep the show going
I-
as long as they want to, right?
How does this not get talked about as one of the longest running shows?
$900 million. Yep. And what do we got for content? What do they drop?
We're halfway there.
$900 million.
That's incredible.
I mean, that's pretty fucking good. 14 movies. Okay.
14 movies.
Which that's basically, when they say 14 movies, it doesn't mean like bigger, longer, uncut. That means like
the pandemic special.
Yeah, like the specials that they do. So
through 2027.
2027. Fuck.
Wow. So that's 6 seasons.
30.
Well, that'll take them to 30 because they're at season. They're on 24 seasons. So that takes them to season 30, and then you're adding 14 movies.
So
that's pretty awesome.
I mean, I like South Park a lot, but you're one of the bigger fans I know of South Park.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on current seasons versus old seasons? Because that's always the debate, right? It's the Simpsons deal with the same thing. Once you're around long enough, what's the Batman quote? Like, you're around long enough to become the villain.
Yeah,
right?
you either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, like I feel like that's what the Simpsons and South Park kind of suffer from a little bit.
The Simpsons more so.
Saturday Night Live's another one. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but like,
no, I get
but like those types of things that have just they're so iconic to pop culture as far as like TV. They just at some point people hate them.
Saturday Night Live more so becoming the villain because you find out all the dark shit behind it. Like they own all of the ideas that are basically written in their think tanks, so they can steal your idea, sell it as their own, and you don't get paid for it.
Sure. There's that, and like so that's behind the scenes shit that I think probably a minority of people know. I think like the bigger glaring thing with for instance, in South Park might be true to this too, more than The Simpsons but Saturday Night Live and South Park, they let their political agenda be so known, and South Park's pretty fair about where they dish things around more versus Saturday Night Live, which is very on the nose about like what their political agenda is.
You know where Saturday Night Live stands. The good thing with South Park as well, you might know where they stand. They're not afraid to take the outside. They're not afraid to take the outside perspective or angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they did that really well with the Clinton and Trump like entire presidential race.
Yeah, that
everyone expected Hillary to win, so they did a layout of shows for both Trump and Clinton, and it ended up making into a great season overall.
Well, and like the whole premise that everything was shit.
Right,
That's
where, to answer your previous question, you can never beat the South Park classics because there were so many lines that they were not afraid to cross that it just made for good television.
What do you think the golden era is, though? Like, if people, because obviously, just as much as like people love it,
it's gonna escape me if Stat Guy's pretty good with Google, he probably find it. World of Warcraft, South Park.
Okay.
When they have that episode, there's 5 seasons from start to finish when that episode comes out that I think they nail it every single week, every single episode.
I was
that's pre-chef.
I was thinking it was like it's that, and it's like the imagination land stuff.
So
right?
that's in that sequence of that's a really good.
That's where that's the most memorable. I think to me as a person who's like, I mean we're both old enough to have been around from the beginning seasons all the way till now. But when I was younger, I didn't have the stations.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough that like I think that at the time my stepfather bought like the VHSs, and that's how I ended up watching the first couple seasons of South Park, or at least the first few episodes. But then I fell off a little bit because I just didn't have the station. And then as I got older, and I think it was just that Comedy Central became available for everybody at some point.
Comedy Central was no longer like a premium channel. It became like a network, you can get it on basic cable.
I feel like that was like end of our high school run, probably. Like 2007, 2008 was when those episodes first started happening.
Maybe. Yeah. It's crazy when you think that they got started in like 95, 96, from the Starvin' Marvin arc to the Coon. The Coon episodes where they're all superheroes. You have Mysterion and all that.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Another good season. But I think what they're coming up against now is they're constantly having to deal with whatever is a hashtag or whatever is a really big trending topic, and figuring out, because everybody wants to know what their take on the situation
and that's
is.
where the struggle of becoming so politically involved with your content can become an issue.
Yeah, and anytime that the best thing that they could have done is just avoid the whole Trump fiasco by not even including him and just making it Mr. Garrison. Because having Mr. Garrison play Trump, it's like, oh, this is already a hated character. He's not drawing the ire of fans because he's Donald Trump. He's drawing the ire because people hated Mr. Garrison to begin with, and now he's this character.
They've always hated Garrison.
Oh, dude, Mr. Garrison he's always been the figure that, like, when he brings in Mr. Slave and sticks a gerbil up his butt, like, he's not
What a sentence.
He's not a character that is made for people to like him, but people do like him, right? He's that character that kind of gets the scapegoat version of the storyline. So he's been fired for being gay. He's been hired for being transgender. There's so many conflicting storylines with him that to make him Donald Trump, it was like, oh, that's just part of this. That's just part of the game.
Can you look up one last thing for me on South Park before we move on? Can you just look up how much the movie made, bigger, longer, uncut?
And when it came out, I think
You
it
really
was like
like
2000.
You really like the video games too, right?
I liked the Fractured Butthole.
Okay.
I didn't play the first one. I can't remember what the first one is.
What about it?
The budget. I wanted to know how much it made. Like how much money bigger, longer, uncut made.
And I think what the video game does really well is, to your point, is if you missed anything along the ride, you get to experience it firsthand. Like, Mr. Tweak wants to open up a coffee shop. You have to figure out how to make him open up that coffee shop, right? Like, there's a lot of things that they do to tie the plot to what the character gets to experience.
What do we got?
Budget of 21, box office of 83.
Wow, that's great. That's great. That's good stuff.
Ridiculous.
I don't know what the hell that was, but I love that guy. That's what I thought. I couldn't be any more mad at you.
All right, so we spent 15 minutes on South Park somehow. Going through we went through current events to talk about 15 years ago's South Park.
You can't know where you're going until you know where you've been.
Yeah, last I didn't really share too much on sex ed, and I won't really do too much. I really did enjoy the season. Even more so outside of like the main storyline with Otis and Maeve, the thing I really appreciated about this season, and there was a big focus on exterior characters, that were all really good, and I think they fleshed out some characters that we hadn't really gotten to know before this season. And with the fact that they can't do the sex therapist thing forever, this season doesn't have a lot. They still deal with a lot of those issues, but not in the same way that they did.
There's not as much
in the
of a
first
focus.
season. Like they're not running a business so much any longer because that stuff's kind of gotten blown up over the first two seasons.
And when you're opening it up to, those characters that are kind of on the outskirts, that just opens the plot up a little bit more for you, right? Like you're able to get a decent look at everybody that's involved in it, and it's not just about the therapist stuff.
Yeah, this season definitely still does a lot of like they push the envelope with every different type of like fetish, kink, whatever the fuck you can think of. But it's generally in a humorous way. But also, I guess, informative in a way. Gillian Anderson is phenomenal. But I really enjoyed the season. I'll probably rewatch it again at some point. And it sounds like you liked Money Heist, right?
Money Heist is good. I'll be interested to see how it finishes. And if you guys have had an opportunity to check out Money Heist or Sex Ed, drop a comment. Let us know what you guys are thinking of along the way.
And what was your golden age of South Park? I think that's an interesting question to get down to. Don't forget about how many old people you can beat up in a nursing home, too. State of Massachusetts apparently has about 36,000.
This brings me back to South Park with the old people driving episode, and they want to take away their driver's license.
I don't remember that one.
You don't remember that one?
No.
Stat guy, you need to pull up a video. But let's move on to what seems like a constant theme with a specific movie, Len. When you hear so many rumors, at what point do you kind of just check out?
I don't think you can check out anymore. I guess it depends how involved in like a social media standpoint you are.
Okay.
Because as long as there's no way to fully check out as long as you're on your phone, because no matter where you look, you're gonna end up like it's gonna find you.
I guess when in terms of Spider-Man No Way Home, there's so many rumors as to who's involved in the project, who you're gonna see, what to take away from the trailer, that at this point I'm kind of just exhausted, man. I just want to get to the movie.
Well, Matt, as a close friend has once said to me, everything's a rollout. Right.
Really?
So the thing we need to realize is like that all of this is just supposed to build like they just want us talking. Right. So even if you or I get a little burnt out, there's somebody else who's like so fucking in on this shit. And, you don't watch like It's Always Sunny like that, right? You've seen some stuff.
I've watched,
do you know
but
the Charlie Day meme where it's like him with like the cigarette in his mouth and he has like he has the board with all the stuff like the pins.
Yeah.
It's like there's some dude out there who's in his basement who's got like all these pictures of like villains from Spider-Man, and he's got all the movies. Yeah, and he's got like the web laid out, like trying to trace the steps. He's got the scenes broken down one by one for the fucking trailer. Yeah, listen, like, I think it's interesting to have a lot of different rumors. So this week's rumors, we've got a couple different ones. We've got some stuff from, speaking of No Way Home specifically, we've got the Charlie Cox
Video.
video.
Are you okay, buddy? Got stuck on that one for a second.
Cox.
Charlie Cox. Jesus.
That one, exactly.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's
dude.
some motherfucker who's doing
You
that.
nailed
it. So
He's like, I've seen Tobey Maguire. He's in it. I swear to God.
Yeah, because he heard the Charlie Cox interview and he's like, well, he didn't not say that he wasn't in it. He just said
But he did not say that he wasn't in it.
Yeah, so he's like, so we're just gonna put a pin in this one. Like, we'll get back to this one
And
later.
we'll wrap it up to Topher Grace.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Which is
like,
the next rumor?
That's the craziest thing is like now people are just watching the first 3 Spider-Man and they're like, hey, can we like what characters could they possibly bring back? Like,
Well, it's because they've already brought back a couple, right? So you get Jamie Foxx's what is it, Electro?
Yep.
You get Dr. Ock.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe is your Green Goblin. There's 6 characters that you're bringing back that are familiar with the Spider-Man franchise.
But Charlie Cox has been like on the tip of people's tongues for a while now. There's a character that we'd like to see brought over, right? Like that there's been like, oh, is he the guy who's going to defend him now that people are going to accuse him of like now that he's outed as Spider-Man, he's going to be the public defender that comes along to help him?
I just never
like,
saw that. Like to me, it's Daredevil's a complimentary hero. He's not going to come he's not going to get to a stage in Hell's Kitchen and be like, hey, lay off Peter Parker, all right? He's a good guy. You guys should be more understanding about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Fuck all that noise.
So, because, yeah, I'm trying to think, like, in the crossovers in the comics, Matt, and this is where I lean on you being more of an expert than me, is it the Punisher who shows up for the first time to go after Spider-Man, or is it Daredevil fights with Spider-Man when he first shows up?
It's Daredevil first.
It is Daredevil.
The Punisher comes along later on. But, again, Daredevil has always been the character. He's only in Hell's Kitchen. Like, he has a jurisdiction. He's not going outside of Hell's Kitchen. He's not leaving Harlem. So, anytime that Spider-Man crossed into his neighborhood, it was like, hey, what do you need help with?
But otherwise, he wasn't going to join up and team up with him.
There's no storyline of him ever coming out and being like, hey, I need to team up with Spider-Man. Maybe there was and I'm missing it, but...
So, are you going to be upset now? Because, he definitely didn't say he's going to be in it, but he definitely did not say that he was going to be in it.
Best thing you can do for me is give me a scene where Peter's getting his ass kicked. Lizard and Doc Ock are kicking his ass. They just happen to cross over into Harlem, and Daredevil just comes out and saves the day. And then they regroup, and he's like, sorry, can't work with you. Got a case to go break down.
So the only issue, Matt, with like your line of thinking is
There's
that
a lot
like,
of issues.
Yeah, sure. Is in the scale of the Avengers movies, now that he's not in the TV series world anymore, like that characterization works in the TV show because it's a small scale and it fits within that world. But if you're going to transfer him into the Avengers world, can you keep him localized to one suburb of New York or borough of New York? I don't think you can. Like, it's such a global scale of those movies. Like, granted,
How's he going to get there?
I mean, at the same time, I guess to...
MetroCard only gets you so far, buddy. Sorry.
Like, to correct myself... Good one, Stack Guy.
Stack Guy thought he was really blind. Just for the record.
Yeah. Stack Guy Googled whether or not Charlie Cox, not Daredevil, was blind.
and not only did he Google it, he thought he was for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, he had to find another Google.
So what we've learned is that the 2 people that are in this fucking room with me have no clue how to fucking Google
I thought there was nobody worse than me.
Yeah.
We found him.
The person we've employed to Google
to
things.
make my life easier is only making it known that I'm actually kicking ass at this right
dude.
now. This is great.
That's
Man. No, I can't imagine Daredevil blindly making his way to the subway and then getting to Los Angeles in a short amount of time.
I was going to correct myself and say that like I'm probably wrong because of the sense that they have a million movies that are about like Shang-Chi just happened and like this dude had to save the world and there was no other Avenger to be seen once again. Like shit just pops off left and right all over the country and none of them just show up like dude, it doesn't even take that long for some of them to just stop by and just help out real quick.
Maybe that's why Marvel gets so much love is because it is realistic. Whereas DC, these damn superheroes are so damn nosy, bro. They legit pop out anywhere.
Yeah,
they're
just
trying to take
up.
a shit, and Superman's like, "Hey, man, no littering." Like, what the hell, man? Back up out of here. it just gets weird. And you can stick him in one burrow because he doesn't have a lot of resources. It's not like he's Batman where he's rich and he's got his own plane. He's got the suit, he's got nunchucks, and that's it.
Charlie Cox wasn't the only tip we got this week about No Way Home. We also got a little tidbit about Venom, maybe the new Venom movie.
A lot of people under the impression that Topher Grace is gonna bring out his Venom suit and make an appearance.
Good point. So there's actually 2 Venom rumors that are created this week.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You know what's weird about that one? Was anybody like really clamoring for Topher Grace to return as Venom?
I
As Eddie
hated
Brock?
Topher Grace as Eddie Brock to begin with.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I like Topher Grace. Big That 70s Show fan.
Yeah.
But I had no interest in his character in that movie.
No.
He's kind of just whiny. You know what I did like? Do you remember in the third one? One of the few things I do like is when he does the posts, and then he does the vibrations to try and separate the suit.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like that scene.
So that's the only thing that was
One of the few
good.
redeemable. It's a pretty good
redeemable.
scene in that movie.
I have been known to bash Spider-Man 3 just for the fact
Everybody.
that loving Venom the way that I do, it was upsetting to see that I didn't care about the casting. I just felt like the overall story was awful. Topher Grace is
It was messy. It was just all over those two. It's the same issue as the Amazing Spider-Man 2 had, right? Where it's like it spread very thin. I've also seen, speaking of the Amazing Spider-Man, I've seen a lot of positive stuff. Maybe it was on like Twitter this week and stuff, scrolling through of people kind of starting to give it some credit as not being as bad as it was at the time. I feel like people just weren't willing
at the time.
They weren't willing to accept it. But I personally, I really enjoyed the first one, and I've said many times, I like the dynamic of Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, but it's because they were a real life couple at the time, and I think you could see that chemistry coming through.
They had great chemistry, and honestly, just the way that the ending unfolds, like 3, 2, 1 spoiler, it is one of the better death scenes that you see.
Underrated, like that's where I thought people kind of unfairly hated it. You know, there's a lot of corny stuff in the second movie,
but I felt
from
like that's what it was
from the
supposed to
villain
be.
standpoint.
Yeah.
But that particular scene, how gently she just like bombs her head
from start to finish.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good. And it's a death that I feel like it resonates a little bit.
And I think as a community, Andrew Garfield isn't looked at as like a bad Spider-Man. I think he fits a specific niche for what Peter Parker was.
Yeah,
right?
I think he fits the like smart mouth version of Spider-Man pretty well in those movies. Not the best Peter Parker, maybe.
No, because I think the best Peter Parker is without a doubt.
Tom Holland's the best of everything.
So I was going to say Tom Holland's the best of everything, but I think the best Peter is...
Don't say Topher. Not Topher. No. Don't say Toby.
No. You don't believe Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker?
I just think he was 40 at the time he played Peter Parker, and it makes it really hard for me to like...
No, okay.
I also think it's hard. So in its time, it was great. I think the tough part is now that we've seen Tom Holland cast in that role, it's hard to look back on anybody being that
because
character and as being as good, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm not really thrilled. I was never asking for Topher Grace to make a return to this. I'm hoping that's just some posturing, right?
Don't want it to happen at all.
The other Venom rumor we got is like it seemed to me, and I brought this up to you, that like this week between the Venom Twitter page, Tom Hardy, like a few other people, there was a little bit of trolling going on, and it was like, hey, nobody spoil the Venom post credits once you see it, and like, hey, like stick around for the end of the movie, like gonna be a big surprise, like, and it's just a lot of like on the nose hinting, like, hey, are we gonna get fucking, like, are they telling, like, they're basically telling you that you're gonna get, like, he's gonna be included, because there's still one part of the Sinister Six that we don't know, right?
Yep.
And is he gonna be the piece that we're unaware of?
That'd be...
It doesn't really work because he doesn't.
It doesn't.
He's not a villain. Like Venom has not been a villain. Maybe they're gonna change that in Carnage. I don't know.
Part of the Sinister Six.
No. So
it's simple as that. Like he's an anti-villain, anti-hero, whatever you want.
Do you think he could show up to assist?
No.
Peter Parker?
Nope. Venom is very selfish. Like Venom is about Venom. So the fact that you would create a story around him being anything but that, like in one of the trailers, he doesn't even want to fight Carnage. He has to be treated to the idea of, I'll let you eat everybody and everything, and he's like, oh really? Oh awesome, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. There's no way he's coming.
Yeah, the same look that Bailey gets when I bring like a toy home to her.
Squirrel, fuck, we're doing this.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's very out of character.
So needless to say, like between Charlie Cox showing up as Daredevil and Venom showing up in this, you're gonna be I wouldn't say disappointed because I'm sure you're willing and open to it regardless, but it's not going to thematically make sense for them to be in it.
No, and outside of just fan pleasure, I don't see why you would do it.
It's fan service.
Fan service. I'm sorry. Pleasure's just been on my mind. I love Venom as a character. I like Tom Hardy as Venom. I think it's a really interesting dynamic that the two characters have together, but it just doesn't do anything for me to see him.
Last little bit of Tom Hardy Tom Holland that we're going to talk about.
Oh, you damn right we are.
There was a clip of him boxing that rolled out this week, Matt.
He's hitting some mitts.
It looked pretty fucking good.
Man, where do I sign him? Like, where do I sign him?
Like
to a fight
on
deal?
him, you want to
No, to a fight deal.
Right on him
like,
somewhere?
where can I sign him to a fight deal?
Okay.
We talked about him just having really good technique and form. He's got a prize that he has to fight for, dude.
He looks like a guy that, like, if he continues to just like learn how to box for the next few years, like, I don't want to, like, he's not going to be fighting obviously, but like he's probably would get pretty fucking good at it.
He's another person that I could see possibly, like, if he stays on this path, filling that role where like he's doing boxing movies.
I don't even
wonder
know
if that has a.
I don't know if it's so much boxing movies, Matt, as much as like I think that's just going to be the next step into like what makes a great action star is your ability to make those scenes look believable and real, and like also choreographing those scenes becomes a lot easier when you have actually trained, and like just as well as like when you know how to throw a punch properly, you know how to not hit somebody with that same punch, and like you're gonna clean up and tighten all that stuff up. And from what I understand with Spider-Man, he's always done a majority of his own stunts. So
he's just
that's
becoming
probably
a better entertainment.
And
star.
it's only like so he's still stats. Can you just double check real quick Tom Holland's age? Is he like 24, 25 still?
I think
like
he's
got
I think he's
like he's not even at that.
We looked it up when we were talking about Uncharted.
You know what's kind of nuts? Like most people who become action stars don't really become action stars till they're late 30s.
25, Jay.
25.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hold it off.
So, like, isn't that kind of crazy though? Because like I think you have moments, but your acting's not there. So you have like these moments where you kind of get those. Like I was thinking like Taylor Lautner. Remember he had Abduction, like that type of action movie. Maybe you get a few of those along the way, but then you grow into like I think about a Chris Pratt who like where he's escalated. But it's not till your late 30s that you kind of start taking that step. Even Hugh Jackman, I feel like didn't start doing action movies till he was 30 or later.
Yeah. So to your point, is almost like you've got to. If you want to be a really big action star, you have to be able to do more with the role. Maybe that's why The Rock is involved in so
another
many
guy
big
who
projects.
was late 30s once he actually started like selling action movies.
Yeah, like there's just a certain savvy that I think you have to have.
Machismo, I think, is what it might be.
That love you for the word, but I don't think that's you don't have to be macho to pull that off, dude.
To be an action star, you don't have to be macho.
No,
I think
dude.
you're wrong.
Look at Vin Diesel. I just think
I saw him.
He's not macho at all, dude.
All right, dude.
You think he's macho?
I feel like he has a little bit of machismo to him.
I don't think he does. I think that's.
I've also seen like the Expendables movies, which are. Did you know
bravado.
they're coming back? They're making another one.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're doing a new Expendables.
So how many do they have? They had 3.
There's 3, and so they're doing a 4th one. I forget. I did read some stuff recently about it. I wish I remembered it right now. But yeah, they're doing a 4th one.
I'm gonna watch it.
I think they're gonna recast a lot of it. I don't know if it's gonna be the same team as before. So
all new team, or do you at least bring back?
So
Jason
obviously,
Statham and Sylvester Stallone.
So those are the ones I think Stallone probably comes back in some facet, obviously because it's his franchise. But I don't know if the other ones will come back. I think it'd be tough because I think Statham's actually pretty good in those movies.
That's what I'm saying.
He's one of the better consistent parts in those movies.
He also, I feel like, helps you connect with Sylvester Stallone in a way because it's very tough when Stallone's in those roles to really feel like he's a real person. Mm-hmm. You're like, dude, you're old as shit and you're throwing people 20 feet across the.
The thing is, though, like. None of the main cast has really been what stood out to me in those later movies. I think the first one, it's definitely like Statham is awesome in the first one. Jet Li's really good in the first one.
Yeah, he takes a huge backseat in the second one.
Yeah, but then the second movie, I think it becomes more of like, what is it? Is that the one with Walker Texas Rangers?
Yep.
So like I think
Chuck
it becomes
Norris, dude. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
He's Walker Texas Ranger.
No, I get that, but he's Chuck Norris. Dude.
He's Walker.
That's rude.
But so either like I think it becomes more about him. Like that's more the focal of like that movie.
Okay.
Mel Gibson is in that one, or is it the third one?
That's the third one.
Third
You're
one.
thinking of Jean-Claude Van Damme is in the second one.
Yes. So like you get more of like those kind of guys become the focus. The third movie, I feel like it's like Wesley Snipes steals the show in that. Antonio Banderas steals the show in the third one.
Damn,
like,
I forgot he's even in that. Yeah.
like
Yeah,
some
you're
of
right.
those characters, I just think that in the other movies it becomes more of the other pieces of the cast or what stands out to me in them.
Rather than the main points.
Exactly. And
Okay.
especially the third one where it becomes PG-13. You needed guys like Wesley Snipes and Antonio Banderas to kind of carry the load and be funny in that.
And maybe it becomes a little bit easier to recast at that point because then you can
You have moving parts. And
Yeah,
you can just pick the good. I think the reason why a franchise like that has some legs is because like you can just kind of pick the who's who of whatever at that time. So if there's some young guy that needs to like take the next step up, you can just find that person and put them in. Like I think Liam Hemsworth stars in the second one potentially. Michael B. Jordan was in it.
Michael B. Jordan was not in it, but he's talking about him being like one of the major.
I think he's too established now.
He's some young guy.
He's too established at this point, I feel like.
Sorry, I'm broken.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just can't believe I caught myself. I did that. That was like one of those few times where that's just not intentional.
I'm sorry, I heard you say it, and I was like, wow, that's funny. And when you circled back, I was like, oh, no, you noticed it. Oh, God, no. To Stat Guy's point, you could possibly see them. They're too established, but it wouldn't be a bad part for them to start.
Because the reason these movies can still get made is I'm trying to think what we were talking about recently that was kind of similar to this.
Liam Hemsworth was in the second one, and he got killed by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes, 3, 2, 1 spoiler.
Say my bad.
But I just think that like Michael B. Jordan probably cost too much for them to include him in a movie like this because I think these are the type of movies where they need to be a certain budget. And then you sign the appropriate actors. It's we were talking me and one of our friends were talking last night about I want to say it was like the Bucks, Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Like how are they able to keep adding pieces and adding pieces and adding pieces? But it's because you find guys that are towards the back end of their career that are really savvy and good, but maybe don't have the athleticism as much anymore.
Yeah.
But you can sign them to a
You can
million
sign
or a
more
$2 million
of them.
contract,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what the Expendables kind of has to be is you find the right pieces from action history and you like kind of build a team off of that.
Like when you look at the Bucks, you have Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Ndamukong Suh.
Well, and they're talking about Richard Sherman joining the team.
Okay, so you have a team of like in their prime, they were defensive players of the year.
And you even look at a guy like Gronk, like the output you're getting from Gronk so far to start this season on the money that you're paying him is crazy.
Like,
Antonio Brown being your third wide receiver on your team. Like just getting, and that's just stealing kind of the old, Tom Brady convincing people to play on the Patriots for however
I
long
get that.
too. Like
you're
it's just,
jumping on a winning team.
but
It's not
and we
that
see it in
difficult to tell
basketball
somebody
now.
that.
Like look at the way like the Nets got built last year. Look at the way that the Lakers are trying to build themselves out. Like
Clippers.
you just have a ton of teams that do that kind of thing, and I think that's the way the Expendables type of franchise has to operate.
That's a nice business model that you have there.
Mhm.
It'd
Well,
be a shame
and
if
they-
somebody took it.
Yeah, I mean they already did. But let's get on to our favorite weekly topic, Matt.
You say it's
we
our
do-
favorite weekly topic? It's the people's favorite
Yeah,
topic,
the people.
dude. Like the people, it gets the people
Yeah,
going.
they rant and rave about our talks about different trailers that we watch, and sometimes care enough to talk about, but sometimes just go completely off the reservation.
It doesn't even matter because it's provocative.
The trailers are just a way to facilitate us not talking about trailers.
No, I feel like the trailers is like when we get to just tell each other, all right, if you're ready for this shit to go off the rails,
Let's just do it here.
let's do it here.
No, so
Find a segue.
I do think 2 out of the 3 trailers here though are fairly interesting, and I'd like to spend a couple minutes on it. Let's start with the one that I think probably I didn't hate it, but it just isn't something that I think
Guilty?
the Guilty. What
Yep.
the Jake Gyllenhaal movie? The trailer came out a few weeks ago. We just never got a chance to talk about it. One thing that it did immediately remind me, and this was the first time today that I've seen the trailer. It kind of it posed a couple questions for me, but the first thing it reminded me of, do you remember the movie Cellular?
Yep, I
That-
was just about to say that.
Literally
Yeah.
the first thing that I thought of
Yeah.
was the movie Cellular.
Because it sets up, if you watch those 2 trailers next to each other, it would be the exact same trailer.
Like she's being held hostage in the upstairs of thing, other Jason Statham movie.
3, 2, 1 spoiler.
Very early Jason Statham. That cast is awesome.
It is. Yeah.
You have William H. Macy, Kim Basinger, Chris Evans, and Jason Statham all in that movie. And who's the guy? Remember the guy in the convertible who he steals the phone from and steals his car? He's a pretty
I'm
big
never gonna
actor
remember
too,
his
but I
name.
don't
No,
know his name.
yeah.
Either way, good, really, really good cast. But that's the first thing that movie immediately reminds me of is, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a phone operator and receives a phone call from a person who's like, I'm going to get killed or some shit.
No, so she is, it almost sounds like she's like a crank caller. Mm-hmm. It almost sounds like a crazy person talking to a child. And then something that she says sticks with him. And he's like, just answer yes or no. Are you in trouble? And she's like, yes. And he's like, does the person know that you're on the phone with the police? And is like going through his triage questions, and then it just completely escalates from there.
It's an interesting premise because like that's definitely one of the more unappreciated, unheralded jobs. Yeah. Is being if you're a good 911 operator, you're never gonna get any of the real praise. Every once in a while, you see stories come out about those people.
Rarely, though, man.
Yeah, and honestly, they're not paid that great. Of all the people that are in the emergency field, they're the ones who are probably paid the least, right?
Dispatch.
But they can be at times responsible for saving people's lives because they could be. Somebody has a medical emergency, they could have to talk through over the phone different steps to try and keep the person alive till medical gets there for them. If it's an emergency such as this, it's like I have to diagnose if this person's telling the truth, if they're not.
Just think about
the severity of the issue.
The skill set of problem solving and being able to triage a situation. Mm-hmm. Imagine you're taking a phone call that you don't know if it's real or not, but then you have to take behind the scenes. You not only have to keep that person calm, you need to be calling and dispatching people to fix that situation.
And actively listening on this time while sharing information in real time with the people on the other time. So yeah, I think it's one thing that I think is really important with this movie is that it is going to shine maybe a little bit more of a light onto that kind of thing. And that's important. The other thing I found myself thinking, I'm sorry, I'll let you.
No, go ahead.
Goes along with a very common theme on here, and we're going to continue to beat this to death. But and I think it's just because it's such a current thing that so many trailers that we watch now have these A-list celebrities in them, and it's always a streaming service attached to them.
Yeah,
isn't it crazy? Like every single week now, we watch these huge actors.
Stars.
Like last week it was Red Notice. You know, like it's a different person every week.
Like we could go down the line. It was Jason Momoa.
You have fucking
Liam Neeson,
Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot. Like it's just like these people are all popping up and shit. You have like remember that Call Me Maybe movie? Like it just has like fucking Keanu Reeves pop up in it. It's just crazy shit like that happens all the time now, and it's not a bad thing. I don't mean it to be a bad thing. No. I love having options, and it's really great for actors because you can sign these huge money fucking deals now.
And you're set. Mm-hmm. And I think that the reason why it comes off as like a negative criticism from us is because we're just more so you mainly because of the amount of movies and content that you take in. You're surprised to see someone like a Jake Gyllenhaal who was Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Like he's got ties into huge films. What makes you settle? I don't want to say settle. What makes you sign on the dotted line for a Netflix movie that has a premise already out there, to your point, with a good cast, a good film? It's just maybe 15 or 20 years away from actually being relevant. So you remake this idea, you take a huge star, and what's the payoff for him? Does this bring more attention?
I think the payoff in what you're seeing is it eliminates the I can't think of a better option, real time thing, but like the Scarlett Johansson stuff that's going on is like a lot of her pay dispute is like it's just like being a fighter and having pay-per-view buys as part of what you make money. Now it's a lot easier for, I'm sure, Jake Gyllenhaal to just discuss flat rate. Yeah. It's the same thing with musicians, right? They don't sign a one album deal. They sign a deal for 3 or 4 albums at a time, and that's what they get locked into. And I'm sure it's the same thing with these guys where it's like, Ryan Reynolds, I think right now is what you probably see is like he has 3 or 4 movies over the past couple of years that have come directly to Netflix, right? And Chris Pratt signs the deal for the Tomorrow War to be like a multiple movie
Chris Hemsworth
franchise. Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Exactly. I mean, Adam Sandler was the OG, right?
Like he was the first one to do it, right? It was him and Chris Rock, I think, that signed those deals.
Yeah, some big ones.
To do both stand-up and movies. I think Chris Rock signed up for more stand-up than movies. Adam Sandler, I think it was the reverse. He signed up for more movies.
But also had like a comedy special. The singing special he did, right?
Dude, 100%
was really
fresh.
good.
Really good. Really good special.
I specifically remember like the Chris Farley stuff.
That's What is it about music that makes you want to cry?
I mean, it could be
I
a
know
lot
it's
of
just
different.
a stupid question.
It's
for me
it's
to
a
throw
it's a
out there right
hard.
now.
Well, it's just such like a general thing because like it could be. I think that stuff that you love can evoke a lot of different emotions that make you cry. It could be sadness. It could be happiness. I think when you watch that specific thing, the Chris Farley thing, I think that you're able to relate to his love for a close friend and
yeah.
something that impacted him, and then something with music. That's a very vulnerable thing. Singing about stuff is very
He's playing the guitar.
is very
Like,
vulnerable. Yeah,
it's just stroking the emotional keyboard. And I only asked that because I know what I said. Shut up. I was watching an episode of anime, My Hero Academia. Right, they're coming towards the end of their season, and it was a subbed episode. So like I'm reading as it's in Japanese, and there's a song or a melody playing in the background where I go from yes, being interested in the episode to immediately being emotionally evoked to shed a single thug tear, as certain people like to say. It's just weird that can just have that little flip or twist on you. But to get back into it, do you think that when this comes out, it's going to be something that you're going to want to watch?
Well, what I was going to say, we spend a lot of time obviously taking a piss on streaming and the movies versus watching stuff at home, like all of that. I do look at a movie like this, and it's a very good example of the positives of it for a lot of different fronts. I think this is a movie that I would see in the movie, but the greater majority of people I don't know would just go out and watch this. But I think a lot of people like Jake Gyllenhaal enough that if you're already invested in Netflix, if Jake Gyllenhaal comes out with a movie on a Friday night on Netflix, there's a chance that you're going to check that out that weekend.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's a really good thing. I do also think for people like ourselves who once a week get into a room and talk about what we've watched or what's coming out, the more eyes that see that stuff or have the availability to see that stuff, the better for us, right? Like, and that's not just to us selfishly. I think just as a whole, that it's not like that we spend a lot of time looking at the downside, but the good thing of these at-home releases and so much of these A-list actors being willing to go directly to forego the movie experience and go directly to your home platform is that it makes it available to a much wider audience. It makes it a lot more available to become viral and even get more legs.
Makes it more accessible. Right?
Yeah, so you have more opportunities there. So I definitely think there's some positive there. Which one do you want to get into next? Do you want to go you or do you want to go?
I think for the sake of staying to Netflix, we'll go you.
Okay.
That way we're not jumping around. But it's something that we talked about
2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, we got a little teaser trailer.
What did you think of this trailer after seeing the teaser trailer? What'd you think?
You need to get your charger, is what I think. Also,
hashtag not wrong.
I did find it. I really liked it. Did you feel like it kind of gave away
too much?
A lot.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that, but I always think that with trailers. I mean, it's 3 minutes long but it's probably a 10-episode season. So how much could it have really given away?
Do you know what it kind of gives away for me is you're seeing so many different environments and settings that it makes you wonder where the scope of things, like how is this going to happen? Is this going to happen at their home, like we've kind of been introduced to when the season 2 finished, or is this going to be something where they're taking this shit worldwide, baby? Like they're traveling to a whole bunch of different places.
I think that like you're seeing them in the woods and they're their home somewhere, and you're probably seeing them at the house, and then there's a job that they have, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like they still have the storage container, maybe where.
Oh, they had that baby shipped.
Yeah.
They put it in a pod and just had it shipped to the basement.
I think I was a little disappointed that I already saw that he's gonna have like another woman that he's infatuated with.
Yep.
Like I didn't love that. I don't know her real name, but she was in season 5 and 6 of One Tree Hill.
They gave that away at the end of season 2.
Helpful information.
I don't think anybody cares. Mr. Hot Dog and I were bashing you to a couple of people that we were talking to.
Yeah.
Because we were like, it is so frustrating that someone will take in such shit television, and in a world where there's good TV series out there and you make recommendations and he just does not listen to you, but then he'll come to you and spend 2 hours and explain why Dawson's Creek is a good show.
I will.
Freak that guy, dude.
I will do that. Stats guy, you had something?
I was like, that's awful.
That's her name? Victoria Pedretti?
Nice.
Pedretti.
Okay.
Yeah. She's all right. I haven't seen. It's funny. That those seasons of that TV show were 13, 14
No, they
years
were a
ago.
while ago.
So it's weird that I don't think I've seen her do very much since then. She probably has. But, between that, I just feel like it gave away a lot of story beats, but I'm still super excited because knowing that it's going to go that crazy, it's like, how does it get there? Because like everything about that character it's like just so awesome watching it fall apart on him. Because I loved it in this. You get the like him talking to the son and again being like, we're going to be good this time.
We're gonna make it.
Yeah.
What's better is that we've always felt like he was the person in control, but we
yeah.
just know that
Now that
this
he's-
chick is even crazier than he is.
Yeah, he very well does want to get out of this situation, and he's just fucking stuck.
No, like just imagine like pulling off so much demented shit to a point where you're stuck.
So I was going to ask, like, do you think he's going to try and kill her? Because there's definitely a scene that it looks like there's a scene that it looks like she hits him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And right before that happened, I had the thought pop into my head.
I guarantee you they bang after that scene.
Probably.
Yeah.
In the pod.
Yeah.
Right before he gets hit in that, I was like, I feel like he's going to kill her this season. Or try to. I'm not saying he's going to kill her. I just feel like he's going to try and kill her.
Even if he tries to, he doesn't have enough bodies under his belt that she has.
Mm-hmm.
She's got more bodies, dude.
You know what else? What's weird though is so wasn't there a whole storyline about the mother at the end of the second season, right? About his mother.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't that what when he moves in that like they
almost
that,
make
like,
it seem like he moved next door to his mom or something?
Yeah.
Like that.
So that they haven't addressed that storyline at all from what I've seen in these two quick, like today's long trailer that we watched, but also the quick one from a couple weeks ago. They haven't addressed that.
No.
And then they hint that this girl, Linda Pedretti,
Yep.
is his neighbor.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can have two neighbors.
But like he didn't it does seem like his focus is on this person and he doesn't know her.
Mhm.
Right? Whereas we kind of had the idea that he was he was spying or stalking somebody that he did know.
I just have to imagine that that's a big thing, that even though it feels like we know a lot about the show right now, that's one big red herring they dropped at the end of last season that we haven't had addressed or answered yet. So I'm interested to see where that ties in amongst all the other stuff here.
Dude, I'll tell you what, once you have a kid, the grandparents come out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
So
they're just always there.
Who knows, dude? His mom might just show up and say, "Look who's here." I don't think that's a situation he wants to be in.
That sounded like a direct quote.
I did that a little too well, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a little scary.
You've heard that before.
Having Vietnam flashbacks, dude. It's a bad time. I think that, to your point, I think the trailer just gave a little bit more than I wanted it to give. Just because this is a show that's directly tied with suspense and being very thrilling, I'd like to leave a little bit to the imagination.
Do you think we'll get any other return characters from last season, like the girl, the younger girl there, the one that we've liked from other TV shows too?
Oh, yeah, there's the issue with them moving is it makes you wonder if anybody's going to follow them from their past life.
Because they really established her as like a side character through that whole thing, and she started writing. I have to rewatch season 2. I watched it once when it first came out.
Well, so the whole 3, 2, 1 spoiler, the Chris D'Elia situation, right, makes it that he's so close to this character, but then once her sister ends up out of the picture, he gets rid of her, and we're just supposed to understand that she's never going to come back. Probably not going to be the case. That'd be a really good character to bring back to kind of tumble this house of cards, so to speak.
Because everything else is kind of... All the other side characters are either dead or not part.
Yeah, big time settled, buddy.
Who played the brother?
I don't know, but his name was 40.
Yeah, okay.
He wasn't not a A-list or B-list actor.
Okay.
Not somebody that you would like, it would stand out to you.
All right, Matt, and let's get down to last but certainly not least, the greatest Halloween scary movie franchise of all time.
Debatable, but I know how you feel about it.
Aptly named Halloween. We got it literally says the final trailer when you look it up on there. So it's the final trailer.
They're not giving you any more. This is all you're getting.
Which, we've talked this to death. Everybody knows how I feel about it. Stat Guy really dug that home before we got on here, that to not go too long on this. We're on a time schedule. He runs the show. I get it. We're moving.
We gotta stop letting unpaid interns tell us what to do. Can't be letting them run
paid.
the show.
He's paid in grapes and
nuts
and just cheese sandwiches.
I pay him in nuts.
Not grilled cheese, just cheese sandwiches.
Just cheese sandwich. Not even toasted.
White bread.
White bread with the crust on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit racist, gents.
I mean,
It's-
you're lucky we didn't give you tea and crumpets the way that you're acting in here.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a job, need an internship, and are available between the hours of always and always,
Yeah.
hit us up on.
You must be on call.
Hit us on the chat.
But so like some stuff I liked, some added stuff to this trailer that I enjoyed.
Yeah, because this had a lot, right?
Well, it didn't. So it did contain just a little bit more of what we had already gotten in the first trailer.
A little bit.
It answered a question. So we knew there was going to be a mob following them, and we recognized some of the faces. The best part of this is it took the survivors of the
They
first
lined
movie,
it up for us, yeah.
and they even like showed you their counterparts from when they were in the original to now. And motherfucker,
Just got hoodwinked.
the damn AC got us. So we got a nice little tie-in to the original. So what I've really appreciated about this is just the respect to the original movie, but also modernizing it. So obviously, like the original movie is not uber violent. This one's definitely going more towards that violence level.
Big time.
But it's still not as gratuitous as like the Rob Zombie movies were. But it's also, I like the homage that it's able to pay to the original. So bringing in characters from the original movie. It is realistic that if they still lived in Haddonfield, they would be dealing with a very similar PTSD that Laurie has been dealing with the whole time. So them coming together to finally take out Michael Myers makes a lot of sense. But also the fact that a lot of them aren't going to make this out of it makes it even more appeling to me.
Oh yeah, they're closing the curtain, I think, on a lot of these characters.
Yeah, and so the real that we know this is a trilogy. What really is going to come down to here is who people think are going to get out, and I think that's going to be what's going to drive a lot of people to want to watch this is who's going to live through this movie to see the final part of the trilogy
and how they're going to get through it, right?
Exactly,
Because there's just a lot of things that are happening with the mob trying to get to Michael, to us possibly seeing his face. I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, it's been done.
Has it?
Yes.
Ooh.
Halloween 5, I think it is.
Okay.
So Jamie, which is the little girl from 4 and 5, it's his niece in canon at that point, she talks him down like when he's going to kill her, and he takes his mask off. And,
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so that does happen. She ends up wearing the mask at the end of that movie.
That's pretty sick. I had no idea.
But
Well, so then what's the lore of, I want to see the life leave his eyes?
Well, so the whole thing with this is that she had known he was going to come back for the whole 40 years in between movies. Yeah. She traps him, kills him, and the whole goal was like, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
Now he's not dead. So it's like, I thought I had done enough to kill this man.
Now I need to see him die.
Yeah, I need to see the life leave. Like this man has caused so much misery to all of these people. He just won't die. I need to literally watch him. And he's got to, I think it's also like, he's got to know that I did it.
Yeah, that makes
sense. That's what a big part of this movie is. And not just the current trilogy they're building, but it's more so the whole entity of like the Halloween franchise is that he is like a shark and like she is the prey, and it's like the one guiding force that's always bringing him back is her. Like they're drawn to each other, especially now the way they've built the story is like these two entities are drawn to each other.
Can't have one without the other.
And like they're gonna have to take each other out, and that's where it's like I can't see them kill Laurie in this movie. I know that's a popular thing I've seen, and people
I've heard the theories.
Is Laurie dying in this? I think there's a chance that she dies in the third one. I don't think you could kill her in the middle movie. I think more likely it's I believe it's Judy Greer plays her daughter.
Okay.
I think it's more likely that she dies. You see the scene in this where, like, so there's the scene in the original franchise where not the original in the first trailer, where I think she shows him his mask, like, I've got your mask, right? In that same scene, you got a different perspective on it in this one, where it's the part where the daughter gets thrown down the stairs.
Yeah.
And I believe what it is
torn ACL.
So I think what happens there is the daughter gets thrown down the stairs. That's in front of that front door. I think the mom is standing at the front door at the bottom of the stairs, sees Michael's going to come down and kill the daughter, and is like, I've got your mask, Michael. And probably draws him to her. And I feel like that might be the part where the mother is going to end up dying.
Okay.
But it does show the daughter breaks her fucking leg.
Oh yeah,
at that part
I was
too.
gonna
Like,
say
it
she tore an
definitely-
ACL, but it did not look good. Dude.
Yeah,
it
it didn't look
nasty.
good at all. So then it's like, how does she tie into the third one if she's going to have a broken leg? Because that was going to be my final question coming out of this trailer. For what we know so far about it is, this movie takes place immediately after the Halloween of
The first one,
2018.
yep.
Okay. How is the third one going to pick up? Is it going to be all bang, bang, bang? Like this is all consecutively how things happen?
Or
are we going to have...
Our conclusion's probably going to be in the third
Are we
movie.
going to have... Yeah, well, so are we going to have some type of finality in the second one that leads to a following year? Like maybe we go a year later, next Halloween, and it's the final one. I just don't know how they're going to play that out. And I think that's exciting that we know it could be a downer, I think, in some ways that we know there's going to be a third one because we didn't go into 2018 knowing there was going to be...
That's what I was going to say. Do you think that the announcement of that it is a trilogy kind of diminishes the return a little bit?
I personally don't, only because there's already been a million sequels.
No, I know that.
So I don't think it's a bad thing to tell me that we're not... I actually appreciate it more not seeing it as strictly a cash grab, that we're going to make these until like endlessly and Michael's never going to die. That lets me know that we have a story plotted out that gives you a beginning, middle, and an end that's going to probably end with you either being pissed because either Michael's going to kill everybody and he's going to leave the victor, or you're going to have Laurie maybe finally conquer... her
evil. Demons. Yeah.
It's similar in a way. It's funny, like as I'm talking about this isn't something I've really thought about before, but when Freddy versus Jason came out, right, and it was like these two titans, and it was like the idea was that
genuinely enjoy that movie.
We're gonna get to the end and have some finality between these two characters, and unfortunately, you really didn't because you got the people you got some cool. There was one really cool fight scene between them.
Oh, when they're like
in
surrounded by the fire
and the fire.
Oh yeah,
but. The same, I just find it a little similar in this that like we're basically getting these two juggernauts. We're getting Laurie Strode and we're getting Michael Myers, and you're basically getting it's like Kong versus Godzilla, right? Like
yeah, you're making a lot of really good comparisons.
It's gonna spread out over 3 movies. You're gonna see these every single time. The thing we're watching for is those two pieces finally coming together. Everything in between is just the stuff that like stirs the pot and ties the storyline together and gives you some scares. But it's really about seeing those two characters come together.
Bads.
So that's where my level of excitement is. We talked about that it's going to be on Peacock.
Yeah.
Not only that it's going to be available in movie
theaters. That's how I told you. I was like, I'm definitely gonna see it.
Yeah.
Catch up. Bridge the gap a little bit and make sure that I catch it.
I think if you're going to do this, you do have to, and I'm going to 100% be watching the first one again.
Have to.
Well, I'm going to be watching the original Halloween,
the original, and then the first one to this trilogy. Yeah,
I might even watch some other ones in between because I have to, just with stuff that I've already seen in here. There's definitely, even though they're not in canon any longer, there's stuff that they're tying in to stuff that's happened in the other.
You're
movies.
also like me, man. We're a bit of when it comes to content, we're hounds when it comes to the content. Like if you've got content that I want, I'm gonna take it in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get as much as I can out of it so that when I take on this next segment, it just fills the need a little bit more. But I haven't seen your excitement shaken at all, so I didn't think that this trailer was going to do anything.
I am going into this with high expectations, I'll tell you, I'm going to get ahead of this right now. You're probably not going to hear me give this a bad review. I already know now that I'm not going to, and I'm biased. Like I'm fully biased. I'm going to be forgiving. I'm going to come out of this.
And we know how much you love to give a bad review, right? So I think it's safe to say he won't go full contrarian on us.
Yeah. But let me know if you're still excited, if you saw the new trailer, if there's anything that stood out to you in the new trailer, or if there's anything maybe that I missed or maybe I'm wrong on some of my takes on it. Who do you think's going to live through this one? Laurie? Is her daughter going to die? All that fun shit. Let us know down in the comments.
And if you're a doctor, did she tear her ACL or completely shatter that knee? We need to know immediately.
Compound, bitch.
Absolutely. Bone through the leg.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lenny, I know that the only thing that can really get you more excited than talking about Halloween, the movie and the franchise, is the idea that your favorite fighter or favorite active fighter is making his comeback this Saturday night.
I mean, it's been a hot topic of conversation for me this week. And like you just mentioned, we are people that once we attach onto something, we need to know like every different angle about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I have been spending about the past week just every little thing with Nick Diaz that I can possibly watch, seeing it. And it's led to some new stuff that I've seen in the past couple days. And so for those of you out there that, we're primarily spend a lot of time obviously talking movies, TVs, bullshit, whatever. But we still do love MMA. We've gotten a little away from it in the past few weeks, I feel like. So we are going to spend a little bit of time talking about UFC 266 this weekend. The biggest storyline, at least to me personally, and I think in the greater scheme of things, is the return of Nick Diaz.
Yeah, absolutely.
He hasn't fought since, I believe it is 2015 now, against Anderson Silva.
He had a 5-year ban.
Yeah, so he got banned for smoking weed, which was some bullshit because it became illegal in the time that he was gone.
And encouraged.
They retroactively
encouraged.
got rid of it. He's just a pioneer of that shit, right? And since his last fight, a lot of stuff has happened. Obviously, his brother became the bigger star, yada, yada, yada. But Nick hasn't won a fight in over 10 years.
Yep.
That's also...
Since 2011.
Yeah, so that's another thing that's important to mention here. But yeah, my favorite fighter. There's the person who got me to fall in love with MMA, which was Forrest Griffin, which I think is true for a lot of people. My fandom dates back before that, but he's the first fighter I became truly like attached to and bought his fights on my Xbox Marketplace, that I went and followed everything that was going on. I tuned into the Ultimate Fighter. I tuned into the Ultimate Fighter when he won the championship.
A tremendous career and an even better story when you think about what Forrest Griffin was able to do.
But then the next guy that I fell in love with, and honestly, I remember nights... I got some of my friends into MMA at the time, and we would literally sit in my friend's car in front of his house, like we'd be smoking weed, and I'd literally just play them Nick Diaz fights. And I'd play them Nick Diaz highlights of him doing his interviews, because it's not just his fighting style that's made him my favorite fighter. It's the authenticity that comes along with being a fan of him. And obviously everybody knows Nate, and that's what they've fallen in love with Nate. But Nick was even more unique than that. Nick was the one who laid the blueprint for what Nate became.
And it's crazy that as you look back on his career, knowing the type of fighter that we know Nick to be, when you watch a lot of his earlier fights, that person hasn't changed. If anything, he has just slowly but surely gotten better after every single fight.
Fighting wise, yes. I don't know if you've gotten a chance, because I talked to you. I watched the countdown, the Diaz Lawler countdown. Did you see any of it?
So I caught some clips of it. I ended up getting really entrenched into the detail segment that Daniel Cormier did.
Yep.
And I was really just blown away by, one, the fact that Nick hasn't fought in 5 years, but the fact that he's just been out of the spotlight for so long. To have him come back now, it's crazy to think about. But what did they get into on the countdown?
I just think the most interesting thing I've seen so far is just the psychology change of him. He sounds like a different person.
Yeah,
it's great. First of all, he sounds more clear. Like the way normally he's a person who, the cameras and everything, he was very nervous and he would mumble through a lot of what he was saying, and like he would give run-on sentence answers, and he still does that, but at least the way they were able to edit him in this, like everything was very clear that he was talking about, and the message was so much different. He literally was like, you're not going to see me going out there doing that gangster shit anymore. He's like, I just don't, he's like, it's not really who I am anymore. He's like, I teach kids, like I want to be like a good role model for them. So he's like, I just don't think you're going to see me go out there and be that guy anymore. And I just thought that was really interesting to he's a person who's always really struggled with the way his image has been portrayed in the media. Famously during like the George St. Pierre fight build up, like of a lady pulled up to him on the side of the street in Stockton and called him like a motherfucker and like all this stuff. And he's like, dude, I'm like in my hometown and people are treating me like I'm a fucking villain.
Yeah.
And a major issue he always had was that he was painted out to be, I watched, they did a resume review on Morning Combat, the Brian Cage and Luke Thomas YouTube channel. They did a resume review. It's about an hour-long episode. It's really interesting. If you want to get caught up on the career of Nick Diaz, I think it's a pretty good way to go about it. But they brought up some of how he was almost put out there to be like the school shooter like character, like that he was like anti-establishment and he was like some terrible guy, when all his point ever was like, I'm marketable, but you guys keep putting me against wrestlers who can just hold me down, or guys that really don't want to fight me. And he's like, I want to get in there and fight real fucking fighters, and like he just always had an issue with the way he was marketed, and he had trouble communicating himself, and like and then he goes into the cage and he flips the middle fingers and he does this and that, and like it's just interesting.
It really is crucial how much perspective plays a part into this, like the fight world, the entertainment industry, because Nick Diaz wouldn't allow cameras into his camp. And that was something that a lot of people kind of painted him with a black eye for. It's like he's not game. He doesn't know how to play the game. And to me, Nick had always seemed like, no, I am the fight game, motherfucker. Like, you want the baddest dude on the planet, that's me. Like, you just keep putting focus on other people that you think can beat me when you don't know anything about me. You have all these preconceived notions of who I am, but none of it is actually who I am.
So the scary thing going into this is like, is that mentality change a good thing? Is, he hasn't won in 10 years. He hasn't fought in 6 years. What's his mentality like? I mean, like, I tend to want to believe that if you're going to be getting back in the cage, which he does not have to do, that it's because he's locked into fighting again, and he wants to go out there and challenge himself. I don't think he's a guy who's in a position where he needs money.
No.
Right? So, like, I don't think that's what it is.
And him being the genuine character that he is, you would think that him coming back to fight somebody like Robbie Lawler, who he has a bit of a history with, given their first fight, he has to be focused on just the fight career. If I hear that he's not that gangster person anymore, to me it means that, you found a purpose in why you want to fight.
Like, I love the sport.
I love the sport.
I want to challenge myself.
And I want to prove that I'm the best.
I want to show those kids that I'm teaching that, like,
yeah, man,
like things like that.
And you and I both know that he had no issue with Nate being in the spotlight, but all that has done is help people really see how good Nate was. And now this is the best possible stage for Nick to come out and be like, no, you guys always thought I was second best, third best. No, I'm here to let you people know that I'm the number one guy here. Mm-hmm. And to me, that excites me. It gets me interested in the fight. And I'm not as concerned at whether or not he's going to have the attitude or the skill set, because I think we both know he has the skill set, right? Like, there's no question there. It's just going to be, what does that hunger look like when he's sitting across the cage against somebody like Robbie Lawler, who, I'll take some flack for this, but hasn't effectively thrown a punch in a fight in a couple of years, man.
And, obviously Colby isn't the same as Nick Diaz by any means, but he is a volume guy, and, like, that's the person that Robbie had trouble with.
It's a great gauge.
So I have a bit of maybe breaking news for you, Matt.
What's up?
This isn't something I've seen a lot of on the internet, but I found this morning. So a couple days ago, Josh Thompson did an interview with a lady. I don't know where he was, but he mentions a video that he saw, and he kind of says, like, I don't know if Nick's going to be able to fight coming up. And he's like, I saw a video going around the internet, and, like, I saw the video, and he got knocked out cold in training.
Really?
And, like, she's like, well, where'd you see this video? And he's like, well, I don't know. You tell me. And he's, like, kind of playing coy with the person. So then I watched an interview. It's of him on Below the not Below the Belt, but what's his actual show called? Something the Bell. After the Bell, like
no, Below the Belt.
No, that's Brendan Schaub.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to, and it's so funny because I think I'm all around the name of the
show.
Oh,
you're talking about Josh Thompson's show with Big John McCarthy.
So they're on that.
I don't know the name of it.
They're on that show together, right? And they're talking, and he's like, I made a mistake. I saw a video in private. Me and Big John saw a video in private, and I said something about it. That you're not going to find that video anywhere on the internet. But I misspoke. I shouldn't have said it. And he took a shot because, like, the stuff with Ariel and Brendan Schaub right now. Well, Ariel also directed some fire at Big John, and
because Josh Thompson was talking shit on the Fight Companion.
Yes,
that
and
he did with Brendan Schaub.
Multiple. Yeah. They've talked shit on their show before.
Yeah.
And, he made a little thing like, we're not other reporters who are just going to report things. But it's like, you fucking did. So you're a hypocrite.
Not only that, like, Josh Thompson is a part of that, like, he's part of the MMA community. So, like, if you say something like that, they're going to take it to heart, dude. Like, so you can't just willy-nilly throw that out there.
So personally, I'm trying to figure out how much stock I put into it, because of the fact that it's not being talked about anywhere else. There is also a video on the internet that came out like 2 years ago.
Remember who Josh Thompson is too, though. Like, he's always had beef with that particular camp, with just him and Gilbert.
He does have, like, positive things to say about them, but yeah, he's not friends with them by any means.
I mean, it's not going to hurt his stock if he's out there throwing rumors.
Well, so I wonder, are you doing it for clicks? But also, there's a video from a couple of years ago, and it's not Nick Diaz, but it was at the time labeled Nick Diaz gets dropped in boxing sparring.
Really?
Yeah.
Could be that video.
But so he was like, no, it's not a video you'll find on the internet. It's the only reason I think that it could be recent is because Nick was training against the Southpaw. So that's why he was like, it could be training for this fight, but he doesn't even know definitively. It just sounds like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know how much stock he put into something like that.
It's all shot by the waist.
But I ddid find it a little of an interesting comment to make,
It's interesting in the sense that we're so close to fight week to have that type of news drop. It's always going to have you thinking differently going into a fight.
I look forward to, Ariel usually does another MMA hour on Wednesdays now, and he does a little Q&A at the end
See
of
if
it.
he
I wonder
addresses
if
that.
somebody's going to ask him, like, hey, have you heard any of the rumors about Nick being dropped in training?
Wow, man, that's
and
a
like
bomb.
it would scare me though if it could affect the fight that it happened that close. Like I don't think Nick would be doing like hard sparring
No,
a week out from the fight.
no, and that's we don't get enough insight into what his camp looks like, so. We know that fitness-wise, Nick and Nate are two of the fittest fighters in the world. You're never going to have to worry about cardio. But like you said, he's been out of the game a while for fighting, so maybe his sparring...
Maybe his chin's
schedule,
not what it was.
Maybe
like,
his sparring schedule is different. Maybe he's bringing in guys who are like, take his head off. Like, we need you to try and take his head off because he's going to go against Robbie Lawler. There's a lot of questions, man. You kind of dropped the bomb on me right there because... I hadn't heard that, and we're only a couple of days away from the fight.
Yeah, so, I mean, needless to say, I'm 100% excited. That did give me some cause for concern. Also, the mentality change is an interesting wrinkle in this whole thing. But 100%, I am excited. I'm rolling with him. I think he's going to get the job done. But I think... As always, it should be an exciting fight. I hope he comes in engaged and locked in, and I don't want to see a guy in there who doesn't look like he wants to be in there because that'll disappoint me. But,
no, the best thing that this fight can bring is two guys who are looking to answer all the questions against them, right?
Yeah.
You get that, I think we're in for a tremendous
because
fight.
I feel like Robbie's going into this like this is my last fight, and this is
how do you want to be remembered?
Exactly. So I think he's going to come in to really throw down. Nick is going to be the question mark, of course, but I'm rolling with him. I'm picking him to win. We got 2 title fights on the card, so I'm taking Valentina. She's a huge favorite over Lauren Murphy, and
hot take, dude.
yeah, exactly. That's why I'm not even gonna. I didn't think we were gonna spend any time breaking it down, right?
We're not. Moving on to Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. I'm ride or die for Brian Ortega. I think that's pretty well known. He is my pick winning this fight, but I think he's going to have a damn hard time beating Alex Volkanovski.
I am also going with Brian Ortega. I think that he showed a lot of improvement over the past couple appearances since losing to Max Holloway. And I'm really excited about this upcoming fight. I think he could even finish him potentially. His striking's obviously really crisp. I think it's going to be a dangerous game striking with Volkanovski, obviously.
His pressure, man. Like he just will lay it on you. The thing with Brian though is that Brian always seems very calm in his fights. Even if he was getting the shit kicked out of him, it's like he can just hit a gear where he can kind of cruise into things. I'm hoping that we see a focused Brian Ortega at the top of his game.
Yeah, so I think so we're both on the same page, I think, across those 3 main fights.
Big time.
I won't really give any other picks, but there are some really good, really solid fights on this card. So 100% if you're...
First big card in a while.
Yeah, if you are a casual, this is one to check out. If you are a old MMA fan, Archer, I'm talking to you. Are you watching it? I want to know.
It's the return of the Crown Prince, man. He's making his return. You gotta...
The greatest of all time.
I say... I didn't want to say king because he never held the title in the UFC.
I mean, I'm just going by what Nate's told me a million times, like the OG of this shit, Nick Diaz Army.
Yeah, big time,
it.
dude. I'm repping it, bro.
But before we get out of here, is there anything you're looking forward to this week, Matt?
Bro, I'm going to beat this horse to death, but Star Wars Visions Season 1, they're releasing the entire first season. Looks like that's happening. We're shooting this Tuesday. That's happening tomorrow.
Okay.
So by the time you guys are listening to this, you should be able to tune into Star Wars Visions. Again, a new, different look from overseas animators who are adding and creating their own Star Wars storyline. Jeez, I'm saying that twice.
Yeah, it's a tough one for you.
So I'm pretty pumped up about that. And then also we've got UFC 266, so I'll be catching that on Saturday. But what do you got going on, Len?
Yeah, so obviously there's the fights, 100% tuning into those. Outside of that, I did want to really quickly mention a movie we didn't mention last week that had come out. Netflix original starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I believe is her full name. Of Birds of Prey fame.
Yeah.
She's in an action movie. I believe it's called Kate. The storyline seems very similar to Crank to me, in that she's been drugged or something and is going to die in 24 hours and has to go get vengeance on everybody who poisoned her.
Hey,
I was right.
Hey, copy my homework, but change some things up so they don't know you copied.
Yep. Woody Harrelson in it. There we go. But it looks like a pretty good movie, so I'm going to check that one out probably this week. And outside of that, we do have releasing to the movie theaters, and I'm not sure if it's going to be on streaming. It may be on a streaming service out there.
I think it's on Paramount Plus.
Is it? Yeah. So Dear Evan Hansen, which is a movie, I believe me and Matt, we watched the trailer 100%. I don't know if we ever ended up talking about it on here. A little bit of a drama, sadder movie. It's gonna have. I don't even know the kid's name, but he's been in a decent amount of stuff now. But basically, meets a kid who is going through it, but he doesn't know he's going through it depression-wise, has him sign his cast, and then like the next day the kid kills himself. And the person has never really had friends, but because he signed the cast, his parents see that he has signed the cast
And assume that they're best friends.
and the kid doesn't have the heart to tell him that they aren't. Oh, you know what he's from? Pitch Perfect.
Yes.
Pitch Perfect.
Yep.
Ben Platt. And for me, Caitlin Dever is the person who's really driving me to want to check it out. Julianne Moore is always amazing, as is
You get
Amy
Amy
Adams.
Adams?
So,
Wow.
really, really strong cast. I'm going to 100% be checking it out. It seems like a movie that's going to have, it's not going to be for action fans or anything, but if you just want to see
but
a
if you-
heartwarming tale, I think it can do that.
If you
for
watch
you.
the trailer is enough to
It'll
entice
hit you in
you
the
to want to
feels
catch
a
the
little
film.
bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'll be getting into this weekend, and that's before obviously next week we're going to have like Venom coming down the pike. So
Oh man, we are like slowly coming to the end of this month, and we've got a bunch of shit to watch.
yeah,
dude.
I'm stoked for it, man. So let us know what your picks are for this weekend's UFC. Let us know if you're watching any of the stuff that we're watching, or if there's anything that we missed that's going to be coming out.
And as always, we're always bringing you the need to know content or the need to watch content. But there's nothing more need to know or need to watch than being in Good Taste Studios and catching us every time we're putting out content. So if you need to know where to go to find that, start at our YouTube channel, catch us on the social medias, and you can also find us wherever podcasts are. We've got Apple Podcasts,
Google,
Spotify, Deezers, or
Pandora.
D's Nuts, dude.
Oh,
Come
shit,
on, dude. You missed it.
Whoa, didn't know we
I
were going
gave you
there.
a perfect opportunity.
Oh my god.
But if you're interested in catching all the fun and tuning in with us, jumping in the chat, you can catch us on Instagram at For Those With Good Taste.
And we're on Twitter at Good Taste Live. Also, Matt, just make sure that they subscribe. Hit the like button if you could. There's a notification bell somewhere around here. And make sure to tell a friend if you could as well.
Yeah, spread the love, because we're out here kicking it every single week, and you can catch us right back here next time.
And I just want to give a special thanks to Stack Guy. This was an improvement over last week. We're still not great, but Rome wasn't built in a day.
Oh, you've read my mind. I was going to say the same thing. Oh, dude, we got to get back to churning butter with Stack Guy, but we're coming back next week, guys. Love you. We'll catch you soon.
Milk that cow, baby.
Churn the butter.
For those with good taste.